Madison Reedy joins me now in we're not in Christchurch, are we?
I think we're in Auckland
We're
today.
in Auckland. I was in Christchurch a little bit. I'll see if I can remember where I am for the rest of this interview. You're going to talk to us about Infratil.
I am.
They've got rid of one of their investments. What's going on there?
They have. So Infratil, the utilities investor, they've sold their 50% stake in an Australian university's student accommodation. So they originally bought into that in late 2016, but today they said that they're selling it to investment funds controlled by the financial firm AMP. They're selling it for about 162 million Australian dollars if you were in Australia. and they say that the reason they bought into student accommodation was originally because they thought that it did have good growth prospects, and it thought that this particular venture would almost act as its springboard into the sector and help it expand further into it. But they have admitted today that that obviously didn't prevail, that it didn't have the growth prospects that it hoped for. I spoke to the Chief Financial Officer, Philippa Harford, and she said that they disposed of the investment because it didn't eventuate into what they'd hoped. But they are also undergoing a strategic review of the rest of their investment portfolio too. So that includes things like public transport, energy. They've actually recently just invested in an Australian renewable energy company called Tilt Renewables. Also aged care and even a data centre and IT. So a pretty diverse portfolio of things there that they're certainly looking to slim down. So we could expect to see more on their selling block soon.
Right. And Ebert Construction, the receivers, of course, of that collapsed company, they've released their second report. What's in that?
So in that today, they confirmed that subcontractors who are owed $34 million almost definitely will not get paid any of it, which is pretty unfortunate there. So they're owed that $34 million. The receivers aren't actually the ones who would disperse that money to the subcontractors, because Ebert Construction is also in liquidation. So they've said that they won't be able to pass any money on to the liquidators. Hence, there won't be any money available to trades workers who are owed funds. But the receivers are also the receivers of the retention fund of Ebert Construction, which is what they went to court for last year to become the receivers of that. That money they can disperse to subcontractors. That holds some of the subcontractors' pay that's owed to them, not all of it. There was a bit of an issue there. They have been given $2.2 million of that so far, and they will see the rest of it. But again, that's only a very tiny portion of their pay. Former employees and Inland Revenue have been paid what they've been owed, so they've been paid a collective $1.7 million. Lawyers, in regards to that court process that I just mentioned, they've been paid nearly $300,000. Security guards, interestingly, were paid $116,000. That was when the 15 active sites, when Ebert went into construction, they were put in lockdown, so that obviously had security costs there. We shouldn't expect to see any more legal or security costs involved in this receivership. At the moment, there's $1.6 million in Ebert Construction's bank account, but the receivers are trying to recoup up to $18.6 million in invoices from other work done by Ebert before it went bust. Right. But they are struggling there. They've said that that's a complex and lengthy exercise, which is proving a bit difficult. And some former clients of Ebert's are actually withholding money up to $15 million. And they've said that that's because there's some defects in the work that Ebert Construction did for them, and they're saying that the costs of fixing those defects would exceed the amount that they owe to Ebert, so they're refusing to pay up at the moment.
Yeah, they won't see that money if it gets handed over, that's for sure. All right, what can you tell us about the markets?
The NZX Top 50 index closed up just 0.09%. That's just a small 9 points to close at 9,853. Still at record highs there, still moving up in small amounts though. The New Zealand dollar is buying at 68.2 US cents, 95.9 to the Australian and 52.4 British pence.